Yes, it doesn't have to be wonderful filming. Okay, first of all, no, you can't have something for nothing. You can't have free energy. You got to have a source of energy. Now, what happens if magnetism was a form of radioactivity and there was some way of taking the energy from the mass, from the nucleus, and transferring into the electron cloud and then giving it out to the real world out here? If you can get your mind around that point, you might be able to enjoy this. Okay, so we've got all our magnets here, and we've done the repulsion trick, knowing that, you know, if it's Newton's third law of motion, of course we're probably dealing with particles here, some new particle we don't know about, some transfer of energy from the nucleus to the electron cloud to out here. So in other words, over time, over this logarithmic period of 30 years, as a very small, very infinitesimal small, probably not so small it's going to be extremely hard to measure. So why don't we actually have a practical proof? Instead of, if we can actually prove that the principle works, well then you can go back down the chain, and over the next 100 years you can go back and look at all the detail of how it works. But yes, it would be nice to actually measure the mass of a magnet over a 30-year period. It would be probably infinitesimal change associated with Einstein's great equation, of course. But I don't think we've got time for that. No. Anyway, so I've arranged this, making use of this effect I showed you on the other thing. So all these magnets are in repulsion. They're being held there with glue. I'll show you. See, this is something also that Newton didn't have in his day. You can either cut these down if you want, and you can do things like that. So it's like having many fingers, because you've only got 4 fingers and a thumb, so 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. And you can hold these, usually with like 3 in place, while the super glue sets, while the Tolkien glue sets. And then after that you put in the PVA, which is a reflexive glue. Okay, in other words, it has a bit of give and take to it. Push and pull, to and fro to it. And I've also used like just cardboard backing, because that's all fibrous, very strong, but also it's flexible. It has a bit of give to it. Okay, so that's, you want to do this. I can see the Chinese are going to do something like this. If it proves, they'll build something the size of a house, test it out, and then of course they'll be building them, because they've got the rare earths, you see. So we have down in Australia, but they've got even more of the certain types over there. So they're, you know, I can see they'll be building these things the size of factories, you know, to generate their electricity. The only problem I think I can see, it's going to be probably DC. They'll have to convert it to AC, won't it? Because it'll be continuous motion, so it'll be what, DC. Anyway, they can figure that one. That's a simple step to solve. Anyway, so you got this repulsion in here, and because of that, the actual the field strength changes, and it negates the gating. Now, what we can show here, I should have done this straight away, shouldn't I? You can get on here. See that? See how regular that is? See? There you go, fellas. There's your gating problem solved. Thanks to Michael Faraday, the inventor of the world's first electric motor, and that iron filings are not a kid's toy. Practical problem with a practical solution. Thanks to Michael Faraday. See? No gating. So that's stage 1, solving the gating problem, limiting it down to a negligible level where momentum can overcome that little bit of residual gating that's probably there, that you can't see in a practical sense. So there you go, that's stage 1. And over the next couple of weeks or so, as we head towards this release of the world's fastest Sunju video out of Germany via Her Majesty, probably, because they're having trouble releasing the Blu-ray because they can't get the article published. So I'm going to have to send my 4 minutes of footage that I've got. It's a bit pixelated to Her Majesty because I went into EB games with my son yesterday, and the bloke behind the counter actually got it. I said to him, well, Her Majesty's got 700 of Leonardo da Vinci. Who else in the world is going to sit up and take notice? And he said, good point, quote, end of quote. So there you go. There's someone else on the other planet actually gets it. Yes, she's the only one I can send it to, because she's the only one that's going to sit up and take notice of the new GLID footage, the new Drossera Glandulis or Neurodrossera Glandulis footage. But, you know, there you go. Simple. As someone down in Australia has solved this problem for the nerd world out there on YouTube. So there you go. All thanks to Michael Faraday and his simple little idea of being able to see the lines of force. And you can see the other evidence that's been up online for about 5 years. So, you know, the answer's been sitting there online for you. And, you know, I made it freely available to anyone else. Anyway, that's stage 1. We've got another 2 stages to go. And I'll just talk to you about those. Just take this off if I can. It's going to go everywhere, isn't it? I can see it. Whoa. Whoa, there we go. Okay. Stage 2 and 3 are basically the same. It's the idea of the kid's top. You know the kid's top? When you put plunger down and you're actually twisting. Well, we're going to do that with magnets, and we're going to do them at 45 degrees because you know all your vectors. 245 gives motion in that direction. Get it? 45, 45, and the vector product is in that direction. So hopefully you'll have it moving that way. But we'll show that. But it's going to take a lot of work because each one of these takes about a night time to set in place and glue. So you know, how many have I got there? It's going to be about a fortnight's worth of work, but we'll see how it goes along. But we'll do a test tomorrow. We'll just put a basic axle through here, and we'll see if we can get enough magnets to see if we can get a little bit of motion, because that's the next scientific step. You've got a basic idea. Let's give it a rough, in the shed test. Are we crazy? Is it possible? Okay. We've just shown you evidence that we've solved one problem. Now we give it the acid test. We'll put an axle through there, which I found very hard to get in the shops. I must admit, it's hard to get things these days. Basic things you want. Shove an axle through there. Put it up on a couple of blocks, and we'll put some magnets. And if the friction is low enough, we might get a little bit of movement, just to give you the idea that it's possible. It might work, and then we'll go to stage 2 and 3. And hopefully we'll get a working prototype, and then the Chinese will just take it up like massive. They'll have one built in a couple of months. They'll have one the size of a house built in a couple of months. Well, I mean, that they've got astronauts coming back from space now, and it's not even being shown on our news program because we've got some Rhodes Scholar from Canberra University taking up all the airspace. I mean, they're going to be going to the moon and onto Mars. So I'm going to give it to the Chinese and the Russians. If the Chinese and the Russians can get together and go to the moon and onto Mars, we're good on them. I think we've got a new space race, fellas, over there in the United States. It's time you picked up the ball and started running with it. That'll boost your economy, won't it? Having another space race. Well, there you go. Thanks for listening. Over and out from down under to up over. Thank you.